Welcome to Bros and Birdies visually. Yes, we're going to have a great time on here, podcast, YouTube, and then we're going to do the audio for Spotify and all the platforms that you usually use as normal. So let's get on with it, bro, because we've got so much to discuss. Let's have a quick look back at last week's events. Obviously, we're just going to focus on the Scottish Open and Live Valderrama for now. Let's get into it. What did you think of Live Valderrama? Let's start that. What a golf course.
What a golf course. I mean, Live Valderrama anyway, without the Live tag, is just one of those golf courses that really gets you going. It was absolutely superb. It really was. Properly enjoyed it. Loved the view, and the crowds were absolutely amazing. And they got a Spanish winner. Oh, God, what a Spanish weekend was it, bro? It's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
Alcaraz, Spain with the football, which we knew was going to come. And obviously, Sergio Garcia getting the job done. I was so chuffed for him, actually, because he's come in for a lot of scrutiny of late with the qualifying and his issue with the fans and everything. But he's still got that quality. Yes, it's a shame that he's not up at Troon, but it'll be great to see him going forward. If a merger ever happens, we know Ron was in a press conference this week up at Troon discussing the fact that he would like something to happen quite quickly. But yeah, Valderrama, I mean, it's such a shame that it's not on the DP World Tour circuit anymore because it's missed, right? One of the best courses in the world, one of the best challengers in the world, and Liv are lucky to have it.
No, they are, and it was just everything about it was just a brilliant atmosphere, and the scores as well that you get at Valderrama. It had everything, it could have gone to Lahiri, it could have gone to Garcia. It was just an absolute fabulous tournament with only a few events left on the Live roster now. Then it's really, really hotting up in terms of who's going to get in for next year, who's going to prevail overall. The teams, they're just the Crushers are smashing it at the moment, obviously leading from Legion 13. And absolutely crushing it. Exactly. Yeah, it's all in the name. And Torquay in third. So, they're the sides that are really setting themselves apart for sure. And it was absolutely brilliant to see. So I got to see a little bit of more of Live, and obviously you had the Genesis running alongside, which was a fabulous tournament in its own right. But hats off to Garcia over in Spain, native Spain, Valderrama. He had to do it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Valderrama always brings the game. I mean, 5 under, both Garcia and Anaban, and the playoff for Anaban. It was such a shame. It would have been great to see Anaban get that win. Indian golf, we know, is on an upward trajectory, and it would have been fantastic again to be prominent with Anaban there. Tyrrell Hatton, another great performance. Patrick Reed, Louis Oosthuizen, and I mean, when we're seeing scores 5 under and 2 over, and everyone's struggling to get around that golf course. And then you see a tournament which completely different, right, over on the PGA Tour last week. And it's just basically birdie after birdie. You can get 61, 62, possibly a 59. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. We'll talk about Troon later on. But as course architecture goes, Valderrama is perfect. I know not every course has the opportunity to do what Valderrama's done and what it's got, the landscape and what have you, but it's just we need to have more testing golf courses. We're going to see the front 9 of Troon get absolutely tore apart. I would have thought with the prevailing wind is behind, and we'll talk about it again later on. I'm sort of getting excited and getting ahead of myself at Troon here, but I'm just fed up of seeing these easy golf courses and these talented golf professionals rip them apart, right? So something has to be done, and courses like Valderrama, Bethpage Black, Green Eagles. I mean, DP World Tour brings it time and time again. And I'll say it again, it's an absolute shambles that it's not on our circuit.
No, you're absolutely right, bro. And I know you've been really hitting that one hard in terms of the course setups over the last few years in particular. And you can't seem to get away from that. But golf is golf, right? And we bring those tournaments. Doesn't matter. You've got to turn up. You've got to score. I'd love to go to Valderrama at some point, in my golf journey. And hopefully with you, bro, and go and see really what that course is like, close and personal. But let's move away from Live, why don't we? And let's go over onto the co-sanctioned PGA Tour DP World Tour event over in Scotland, because it was a great tournament and an absolutely, superb finish for Scottish Bobby McIntyre. Deep fried Mars bars, whatever you want to throw at it. It was an absolutely brilliant finish from Bobby Mack. I was on him,
you
loved
were
him
on
big
him.
time. Yeah,
Yeah,
very,
I mean,
very, very good.
We both did. We were coming down the stretch. I had Adam Scott in the picks, and you had Bobby Mack in the picks. It was going to go one way or the other. And I really thought it was going to be Adam Scott. But when Bobby got that eagle, and I mean, he got a bit of fortune at 18, right? So it's been talked about quite a lot. But they're the rules, right? And he's not cheating. It's just the way it is. And he was fortunate to standing on a sprinkler in the middle of the rough, and he was surprised to find himself there, and he made the most of it, right? So he took advantage and he took it. He was probably unfortunate not to win last year, wasn't he? Rory played that amazing. They both played amazing shots up 18, but Rory getting the job done. And Bobby Mack has promised this sort of run, this sort of consistency for quite a long time now, and he's just failed to deliver. But something has just switched. That win has got him going, win over there in the States. I mean, it's a negative for me, all these players getting the cards from the DP World Tour. But as we've seen with Bobby Mack and as we've seen with Pavon, it really has excelled their game. It's given them something extra, and they're coming back and they're competing still. And we're going to see them both, Pavon and Bobby Mack, up at Troon. But yeah, Bobby Mack getting the job done. It was fantastic. It was great for the home crowds. Even Sahith Theegala was stood watching that putt on 18 and was absolutely loving the atmosphere. I mean, it surprises me that, once you get a taste of that, and we have a lot of players saying, oh, I love coming over to Europe. Billy Horschel does it a lot. Patrick Reed comes over. When they do come over, they absolutely adore it. And I just feel that if this strategic alliance is going to work, not just in these co-sanctioned events, it'd be nice to see these guys coming over and enjoying Europe and enjoying the United Kingdom. It has so much to offer golf-wise. And when they do come over, they love it. So let's see more of them, like Sahith. He's a character. I love him.
No, they are great, and they're going to turn up for these big events, aren't they? But going back to Bobby McIntyre, you've got to say that playing those PGA Tour events over in the States has really improved his game. He's now got that killer instinct, that punch that he didn't have before. He was getting himself in close in tournaments, but just always coming up short. And I think we're now starting to see the real Bobby McIntyre, and it was great to see that passion shining through on the 18th hole. That putt, no easy putt. His hands were shaking. He admitted it himself. But what a brilliant putt to win the golf tournament on home soil after coming close, as you say, last year. But a great event over there in Scotland, setting us up for this week in Troon. Absolutely. We did also have another tournament, didn't we, over on the PGA Tour, the ISCO, as it was, and Englishman, Harry Hall. I know, don't want to really talk about it, but yeah. But it was an amazing playoff. Yeah. It really was. I was watching it. I did stay up. I like my golf. I'll stay up for anything. But yeah, it was a really good playoff, and there was a couple of players in there that threw that away. Rico Hoey, from Manila in the Philippines, where he was born, but obviously he's grown up in the States. He really, really threw that away in the 72nd hole. Obviously having to take the penalty. Harry Hall thought he did, but he got lucky, got up and down, got in the playoff, and I think it was a 5-man playoff in the end. But yeah, probably less said about that, the better. But again, Harry Hall, you can see that passion shining through. That first win, great for him.
Right. Okay. Well, we have got to talk about Royal Troon. It's the focus of the week, right? So let's get into it. Let's crack on. I mean, what you say about this? Yes, we saw it in 2016 last. That amazing. If anyone can get onto Sky Sports and watch the Duel of the Suns, it's an amazing little documentary about the battle, Mickelson, Stenson, on that final round, stretching away from the opposition. Now, a lot has been said and about protection of courses, and the only protection is the weather, right? And so we know that the wind is going to blow a fair bit this week at Troon. Will it be enough? I mean, I'm hoping so. But Saturday now has turned into the rain is going to be so heavy, so heavy. There could be stoppages in play. I'm not sure, but that rough is going to be so lush, damp, long. We've heard it is. It's a shame about the greens. Obviously they're going to be really receptive, but we know that the front nine and the back nine are so different. Obviously, with the wind, you're playing with the wind and playing against the wind. On the back nine, you've got the eighth, you've got the loop, that postage stamp. What a hole. Should we just talk about some holes then, bro? Tell me your
Yeah,
favourite on the Troon circuit.
I think I like. I mean, the postage stamp, the eighth hole has to be that hole, that par three. That they can change the distance of that. It could be a 97, 99 yard to 123. They can move it about. But what's brilliant about that hole is the fact that the green is protected by these really deep pot bunkers, and
Mm.
and any wayward shot, with whether it's 100 yards, 110 yards, these golfers are absolutely phenomenal in terms of how they can really dial in. But when you get windy conditions, and you get rain as you do in Scotland, then you're going to have a challenge. So those bunkers could be heavily used this week, and we've seen. I think it was in 2016. Was it Rory McIlroy made a 7 and an 8 in practice rounds? Just on that hole, and that proves how difficult if you get in those bunkers, you are absolutely up the creek without a paddle. But I do like the sixth as well. You talked a little bit earlier on about the fact how some of these players could really annihilate the first six holes. And I think
Mm.
that's true for maybe the first four holes is probably where we're going to see some low scoring. That will be very much dependent on conditions for sure. Some reports of maybe people being either 5 under, 6 under through 6 holes. And therefore maybe the weather conditions are going to probably play some kind of advantage in that. I mean, I am favouring probably a little bit of a late, early sort of tea time starting at the moment based on the forecast that I've looked at over the course of Thursday and Friday. And of course, that's ever changing. But going back to the holes, I think, what I really do like is that 17th. That really, I love these long, punishing par threes, and this one's set up at around about 240 yards, and that's, again, if you've got wins over the weekend, that's going to be really brutal, punishing. I always like a hard closing stretch at an open course, 16, 17, 18. And we have that at Troon. The 18th's fairly straightforward, really. You can't get into too much trouble. But the 17th could catch a lot of people out, for sure. You've got the same, obviously, at St Andrews. You talked about it, the 17th, the road hole, where lots of scores can rack up. And Troon have got these places, certainly the back nine. Now, I've seen reports of you could break this course into 3 sections. The first 6, pretty easy. Second 6 gets a little bit harder, but that final 6 is really set up to be brutal. So that's the 2 par 3s for me, bro. What about yourself?
Well, the prevailing wind is usually a nor'wester, right? So that's gets behind them for the first few holes until you get to sort of 7, and then. But this week the forecast suggests that it's going to be a sou'wester, right? On the Thursday, so you could find that it's completely switched from what they've been practicing early week. So they could head out on Thursday and get 15, 16 mile per hour winds with gusts to 20, but from a sou'wester, which means that they'll be into their face for the first 9, if you like. And then they'll get the wind behind off their left shoulder coming down the back 9. And holes wise, 11. I love 11. It's the hardest hole in the course, right? But it could be so interesting with that wind coming off the left-hand side for anyone that fades a ball. Lefty was talking about it today on Sky Sports. he would look at that hole with that wind coming off as a left-handed player. He says he would look at that hole as a birdie opportunity on the back nine, but a lot of people would just be trying to get a par, right? Stay safe on the 11th. All down the right-hand side, you've got that railway line and out of bounds, and it follows all the way up to the green side. And then on the left-hand side of the green, you have the gorse. So to get hold of your approaches. And I mean, a lot of people are going to be favouring the left-hand side. And if they get tangled up and it wraps around that club, they could be in that gorse in the green side, or they could go out of bounds if it tangles up and they lose it right, or they could lose it off the tee. So for me, the 11th hole is an obvious one to love. I mean, I do love the postage stamp. I think it's a fantastic hole. Just shows you that a golf hole doesn't have to be long. A par three doesn't have to be long, like you talk about the 17th, right? But it's a great hole. Those bunkers that protect it, I think it's 3,000 square meters, the green size, very small green. You're a little bit just off with that approach, that wedge that you've got in your hand, and that swirling wind grabs hold of it. And you get caught in the wrong bunker on the wrong side, like we can see with, what was it, Herman Tissy's? I think Herman Tissy's.
What sort of name's that?
I know, I guess he's German, but he scored a 15. The largest score was 50. I can't remember what year it was. Don't ask me, but memory's gone. I'd just like to say, people might be wondering what's going on with this hat. Well, there he is, Henrik Stenson signature. I thought, do you know what? I'll stick it on. Stick it on for Troon, seeing as his defender of the Claret Jug at Troon. But anyway, if you're just worrying about that hat, I also wear it, of course.
When we opened up, we thought it was maybe Jeff Boycott.
Hey, test match cricket.
Exactly.
Anyway, so a bit about the weather. Just going to go through it a little bit. As of Thursday, it's saying, like I said, a southwester, 15 miles per hour. Friday, we're going to get 17, the same southwester, more southerly, stronger winds, 17 to 20. Saturday, winds die down. They come a bit more from the west, but it's going to be heavy rain all day long. Get those waterproof sorted. And then on Sunday, it completely goes back to the prevailing wind, the sort of westerly wind that comes across the course, moderate 13 miles per hour wind, a bit of sun on the back on Sunday, which may be a bit of a relief for some. I want to, before we get on to picks and what have you, and talking about Troon in general and the Open and people's chances, Tiger Woods, right? It seems to be the case all the time when he's teeing up at a major. He looks like he's striking the ball well. He was looking like it today when he was live at the range on Sky Golf. They were showing he was playing an 8-iron and he was just hitting consistently, striking it well. But we know that happens all the time. But then when he gets on the course and he's got difficult lies and that leg starts to hurt, that's when it starts affecting his back and it starts affecting his stroke, right? So are we again going to have the conversation that, or can Tiger compete come tomorrow at Troon?
Of course we are. We're always going to have that conversation. But the fact of the matter is that he can't. You can put all those videos out there about how well he's playing it out of the bunkers in the practice rounds. He looks like he's striking it well. We had that at the US Open. And with these kind of conditions, Tiger cannot last the whole tournament. Again, will he get through the cut? It remains to be seen, but I'm not up for having that debate and that discussion with anybody at length around whether Tiger can feature this week, right? I just don't think he can. I mean, I could have egg on my face. Highly unlikely it's going to happen, to be honest with you. There's probably more chance of Phil Mickelson, who's got an outstanding record at Troon, in the times that he's played.
This will be the 4th time he's played here, isn't it?
More chance of Phil Mickelson featuring than Tiger Woods, in my humble opinion, this week.
Okay, well, funny enough, Lefty was on the TV before talking about it, and he was just
looking lean as well.
Well, yeah, it's that coffee, isn't it? And those carbs, I'm sure. He had some joggers on. He was quite impressed with how he looked, as he was telling Rich Bean. But for me, Phil Mickelson, the way he talked about that course, and he was saying, do you know what? This is all about missing in the right areas. right? He says you could think that you've hit an amazing shot, you've struck it well, exactly where you want to hit it, but your knowledge of the course isn't strong enough, and you've left it in an absolutely ridiculous position. So course management, course research, he says he's got his book going back to 2004, so in depth, knows everything. And like you said, this is his fourth time at Troon. He knows what he's doing around there. And I'd love to see Mickelson have a great week. He probably won't, because he's a little bit wayward off the tee. And this is not, we haven't seen him at his best on live by any stretch of the imagination. But we'll see. It'll be great. It'll be great to see the guys like Lefty and Tiger and what have you have a go at that course. But I'm just so excited. I can't wait for tomorrow. I don't want to wish my life away, but I can't wait for tomorrow to start.
No, exactly. But, what we have got is a leveler of course, bro. It's only seen in 2004 and 2016. And this is what the Open Rota brings. It does. It's, courses that you're not going to play an awful lot at all. And therefore, form probably doesn't really come into factor. You have got to look at open form. You've got to look at those players. And when we do our research, as everybody else will do, they'll be looking at a mix of current form and also open form. And that's certainly what shaped my picks this week, for sure. I think, when I say it's a leveler as well, if you look at the Troon setup, there's a predominant bias to fading the ball. So dog legs slightly left to right on a lot of these holes. So maybe faders of the ball. And your point about, thinking you've hit a perfect shot and running into trouble, again, that was emphasised by young Matty Dogberry in his interview yesterday with Sky, when they were in the practice round. And let's say what a practice round to play with, Scotty Scheffler, Sammy Burns, Tom Kim. And I loved the story that how he got into that 4-ball practice. It isn't just random. He reached out to Sam Burns as a result of being advised by his coach at LSU, the new college that he's going to next year. And Sam Burns played there, in his collegiate years himself. So reached out, which is what Matty did, and then got into that practice 4-ball again with the world number one. I mean, what an experience, not only just to be playing at Troon, but also with the world number one. So, but he did make that point. That's what's great about links golf. It's like you don't, until the ball gets stopped by something, you don't really know where you're going to be. And obviously with these strategic pot bunkers that we do have splashed all around the course and certainly around the greens, that's really what makes Royal Troon for me special.
Well, we saw Matty Dogberry up at Hoylake. I think he shot 5 under round there with quite a few birdies and an eagle, and we know he can play a links course. He's a member at Royal Liverpool. He plays at Wallasey, and he's having an amazing season over. He had an amazing season over in the States, and God, it's going to be great. He's got a late tee time tomorrow. He'll have a lot of time to think about that first tee shot at Troon in the Open Championship. But yeah, amazing. He got into the quarterfinals of the Amateur Championship, didn't he? And that's what got him into final qualifying at the Open.
Yeah.
So if you can go and watch that video with Matty talking to the Aussie reporter at Sky Sports, then it was great to listen. Listen, we wanted to get into 15 players according to the official World Golf Ranking, right? And talk about them playing at Troon. So let's get into it, right? First one, Max Homa. What are your thoughts? Any chances?
Oh, Max Homa, I'll tell you, no chances whatsoever for me with Max Homa. I just don't think he has got the game, the patience to play around Troon. His record itself, and I'm just trying to kind of find the file that I came up with earlier on, which I've now actually got. But yeah, the top 15, Max Homa, I think is he 15th in the world, Max Homa, something like that. He's 33 years old, and let's be clear as well, the last 2 winners at Troon have been Todd Hamilton, I think he was 38, Henrik Stenson was 40. So that proves that maybe you've got to have a bit of experience in years playing the Open to maybe prevail here at Royal Troon. But for me, Homer, he's had a miscut at St Andrews in 2022. He had a tied 10th last year at Royal Liverpool. For me, St Andrews and Royal Liverpool are probably the two easiest courses on the rota. So that is no barometer to assess whether Max Homer can play. So for me, no, Max Homer, absolutely, totally out of it. I mean, if we go to number 14, Hideki Matsuyama, what do you think?
Hideki, well, he was a winner at Genesis, right? And he's several top tens, including a good sixth at the US Open, Pinehurst. But a poor miscut last week, really disappointing. And one top 10 in 9 appearances at the Open. For me, it's not filling me with any confidence for Hideki. And I just don't think the Open suits his game.
Yeah, I mean, you're going back to Muirfield 2013 with Hideki in terms of that top 10. He's had 9 Open appearances, 32 years old, was a pro in 2013. He's had, smatterings of form this year, and he looks like he's getting his game back, but maybe they're not enough to show that he can prevail at Troon this week. Not for me, anyway.
Okay,
where are we going
13
next?
in the world, Brian Harman, the diminutive deer hunter who drank out the claret jug last year, as we remember. What do you reckon? Any chances? Defend his crown? Hey, do you know an interesting fact? Only Padraig Harrington, Tiger Woods, Tom Watson, Lee Trevino, and Arnold Palmer have defended the claret jug since 1961. Little fact.
Good fact. I like facts, but no, he cannot feature this week, Brian Harman, for me. I know he won at Royal Liverpool, but he had in his first 5 Opens, and he's played 8 of them, he's had 4 miscuts. If you go back to Royal Portrush in 2019, which you can probably say from a weather perspective, maybe you might have some similar conditions or whatever, he's not featured. So yes, he absolutely sluiced up at Royal Liverpool last year with a winning score of 13 under. But no, he doesn't feature for me this week, does Brian Harman. Tommy Fleetwood, number 12.
No, likewise for me, for Harman. I just think a lot of players struggled last year. I think he was the benefiter of misfiring golfers last year at Hoylake. And I don't think that'll happen this year. Yeah, Tommy Fleetwood, right? He should be on everyone's list, bro. I mean, he grew up on the northwest and links in up northwest of England. But for me, it's just his putting, right? So his putting stats on the PGA Tour have him at 114th in putting average, and his approaches are off as well. He's 104th in shots gained in approach. I know he has the shots and he gets himself into positions, but when push comes to shove, those stats say it all. He just doesn't get the job done.
Yeah, I agree. I think, again, for someone who's grown up in the northwest of England, missing the cut the first 3 times he played the Open, and he's played 9 in total. It's something he's had to try and fathom out, and his last few Opens have been solid performances. Again, I called out the last 2 Opens, probably maybe the easiest courses on the rota, but he has had a second at Royal Portrush in 2019. So, yeah, Tommy will be on a lot of people's books this week. He's not for me, but he has got a game to try and prevail in an Open.
Right. Next one, Sahith Theegala. We're coming on. One of the rising stars of the game, 26 and only his 3rd Open championship. He has game, right? We know that. He's got a good short game. Great 4th last week at Scotland, and he really enjoyed his experience up there. I mean, he's going to enjoy it regardless, right? But you were talking about experience at Opens, and he's just lacking that bit of experience, isn't he? Renaissance is not really a true running links. Troon will be a bigger test.
Absolutely, it will. And a miscut at Royal Liverpool doesn't really fill you with any confidence, although there was an 11-shot swing in those 2 rounds, 79 and 68. So maybe he was learning on the job. But I think it's probably a little bit too soon for Sahith, in my personal opinion. But who knows?
Okay, Jon Rahm. What can we say about Jon Rahm? I know people, he's a lot of people talking of late about him, be his decision to join Liv, his tantrums, or his poorly toe that pulled him out of the US Open, right? But second at Hoylake last year, top 10 in every Liv tournaments he's played in so far. He's playing well. I just think if you look at 11 top 10s from 29 major attempts, right, I feel he's flying under the radar a bit. And we talked about Spanish domination of sport at the moment. I could easily see it continuing this week.
Possibly. I think, John Rahm still hasn't got his win on Live Golf. But when bring it back to the Open, and this is only his 8th Open, let's remind ourselves of that fact. We think John Rahm's been around for a lot longer than he actually
It
has.
does feel that way, yeah.
In 2016, so it's his 8th Open. But that tied third at Royal St. George's in 2021. Royal St. George's is a good test down in the southeast of England, and shows you that he can play links. Obviously, he was tied second last year at Royal Liverpool, so he has got a game, and he could continue this Spanish theme of winning some of these big sporting events right now. Not on my card this week, but yeah, he's definitely got the game, no doubt about it.
Okay, well, let's jump to Victor Hovland. We're not going to go down the list all completely because some might come up.
Oh, you've skipped Bryson, lover boy Bryson.
I've skipped Bryson for a reason because we'll come back to him later, maybe.
Oh, really? He can't win this week. Anyway, yeah. Okay, where are we going? Funny. Hovland.
Yeah, Hovland. A new swing coach, right? He's not the player he was last year, right? When he won 3 times, when he didn't miss a cut neither last year. But he's shown a sign of return, is he not? He's third at the PGA Championship. We have a potential reason for a drop-off, don't we, now, after finding out that he did send representatives to go and talk to Liv about signing up with them. Obviously, it didn't go that way. He decided against it. But could that possibly, with a new coach and then in the balance, the seesaw, whether he was joining a new tour, could that have just disturbed him? And now he's only just getting back to what we know the Norwegian can do.
Quite possibly. Victor Hovland has got a game, and he's got the shot shaping ability to prevail on an open rotor course. His, 3 opens to date, all inside the top 15, 1 top 10 at St Andrews 2022. So yes, Victor Hovland, I think, has got the game. And I expect him to go close this week, but he hasn't made my selections this week. So interesting one. But yeah, he's definitely a danger without a shadow of doubt.
Okay. Let's go down to Ludwig Oberg.
Well, only turned pro last year. First Open Championship. I would be really concerned at last week's capitulation. That certainly doesn't inspire you with any confidence whatsoever. I think everybody expected him to just stroll away on Sunday and win, but he didn't show, composure under pressure and fell away. So for me, no, I think there's no doubt in the guy's got talent. He absolutely has. But this is a course that you're not going to see a debutante prevail in again, in my opinion. I think that there's a lot of reasons maybe around some of that. And, we talk about stats as well. I think, if you look at stats, I don't think, an amateur, well, we talk about an amateur, we talk about a debutante. It's just, debutantes who have won, champions who have won at the Open. When was the last time? Colin Morikawa, 2021, not too long ago. And then before that, Ben Curtis in 2003. So you don't see, certainly in the modern era, a lot of debutants coming to win. So Ludwig, not for me. Ludwig.
Well, did you see he played the really long par 5? The wind was obviously behind. He had a drive of 442 yards. He had 170 yards left in for his second hole. I mean, he's amazing. But you're dead right. Last Sunday, because I still feel that it's going to sound, I get a load of stick for this. I still don't think he should have gone to the Ryder Cup, right? There are other players like Maronk who would justify DP World Tour players. This lad was fast-tracked through the system by skipper Luke Donald, and it's paid dividends, right? He's a talented guy. But you're dead right. He's still learning, right? He's still learning the game. He's learning to handle those challenges. And we saw last week on Sunday, putting woes when the pressure was on, and he was a bit erratic off the tee. I mean, if he's a little bit erratic off the tee, and when his misses are bad, they're bad, and they're usually on the right hand side. And if that wind from the left to right grabs hold of it, he could be in a lot of trouble. But Peter Hansen, great to have him on his, on his side as a coach. He's really helping him out. He's only been with him a couple of years. But yeah, it was great to listen to Peter talk about Ludwig, and yeah, he's going to be. He's already a superstar in the game. What is he? Where are we? Fourth in the world? Is he now? Yeah, fourth in the world. I mean, he's only just turned pro. It's ridiculous. The monumental rise of Ludwig Oberg. But I can't see that continuing at Troon. So anyway, right, final three quickly. Xander Schauffele. I mean, Mr. Consistent, the X-Man. What can you say about him? No miscuts this year. I think the last miscut he made was in Augusta in 2022. The last miscut. That's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. And we'll get to our picks later on. He may feature, but he does fit the mold of an Open winner for me. I mean, his best finish was tied second in Carnoustie 2018. I mean, to finish second at Carnoustie is, something special. It's a tough brute of a course. His other Opens after that haven't been spectacular. The best finish was tied 15th in St Andrews 2022. But, his year this year, he's coming back to, the Xander that was around a few years ago. 6 Opens, 1 top 10, Pro 2015. He's got a game, Xander, and I think he could feature this week for sure.
Okay, well, we can talk about Rory. We know what Rory's probably. Yes, he can win. We know he can win the Open, but his putting woes, as we saw at Pinehurst. He's reset that button. Let's move on to Scotty Scheffler. I mean, world number one. Only an arrest can handcuff his game, right? It seems. He's gone up to Turnberry with Sam Burns, and that's a wise decision. I think playing Turnberry instead of Renaissance could be the difference between winning or not.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think Scotty Scheffler wins this week. I don't.
Ooh,
whilst he is number one, it's a very, very bold statement. I don't. I just, there are aspects of his game I don't think suit this course. Yes, we know he is Mr. Consistent and he's very good at making the right misses, but at this type of course, I'm not sure. It's, for me, he doesn't feature for sure.
I would say when he misses, his stats show that when he misses on the right-hand side and he's in the right-hand side rough, his approaches are poor. And you look at I'm trying to find a chink in his armor, and that's the only one I can find. But if he turns up, he's going to be up there, isn't he? Without a shadow of a doubt.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, that's Scotty Scheffler. Will he turn up? That's our little rundown of some of the top 15 players according to the official World Golf Ranking operation. We know that there are plenty more stats out there, and we don't want to bore people to death, but I'm sure you've got a few more.
Yeah, I've just got a couple actually. As we know, we've talked about Matty Dodberry already in terms of amateurs, and there are some stats out there around lowest individual round by an amateur. And of course, last year we had Christo Lamprecht, the South African, in the first round at Royal Liverpool, went low with a 66. But prior to that, it was Matthias Schmid, who in the second round at Royal St. George's in 2021 shot a 65. So could that be a good omen for any of these amateurs that are playing out there this week? And certainly, in terms of amateurs and great marquee groupings, qualifier Jack McDonald from Scotland's playing with 2 previous winners at Royal Troon in Todd Hamilton and Justin Leonard. And they are the first 3-ball out tomorrow morning. In terms of another stat as well, I talked earlier on obviously about champions who have won on debut, but there's also markets out there in terms of wire-to-wire winners, when you're looking at your betting odds and stuff. And I think that's an interesting one this week because there could be a high chance of a wire-to-wire winner, in my opinion. But if we look at wire-to-wires, champions that are, and that's champions that have gone from round one right through to the very end and led all the way. Rory McIlroy was the last one back in 2014 at Royal Liverpool, no less. And before that, it was Tiger Woods in 2005 at St Andrews. So two of the golfing greats of only in the modern era been wire to wire winners. So yeah, just a couple of other stats there, bro. And I like my stats, so I thought I'd just fire those at you.
Well, looking at the weather and the way it's changed a little bit over the last few days, it's starting to look like it could be a late early. I mean, if you're out 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon, you could have a lot of trouble. I mean, it's a lot calmer in the morning on Friday morning. So you might want to look at that. It could change. We know the weather's very volatile there. Comes in very quickly across the Isle of Arran and the Firth of Clyde. Can't wait. We need a bit of wind. The course needs a bit of wind. The course needs protection from these guys. And it's not just going to be the pot bunkers that'll protect it. It's got to be the wind. Right. So let's get into our picks, shall we? Do you want to talk about any tee times? Any
I think
times?
Yeah, I mean, you've rightly talked, and I think we're of the same opinion that maybe it is a slight late early bias for this week in terms of the first two rounds. But there's always some really spectacular marquee groupings, without a shadow of doubt. And in the morning tomorrow, we've got four lots of groups. Jon Rahm, Tommy Fleetwood, and Bobby McIntyre, last week's winner, go off at 9:36. They are followed by Ludwig Oberg, Bryson DeChambeau, and Tom Kim at 9:47. Then we've got last year's champion at Royal Liverpool, Brian Harman, and he'll be going out with Victor Hovland and Sahith Theegala at 9:58. And then the final one of that batch is Rory McIlroy, Max Homa, and Tyrrell Hatton, the angry man coming back from Live to play in Scotland at 10:09. I think they are a brilliant set of groupings in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we've got Woods, Xander Schauffele, and Patrick Cantlay. They go off at 2:37, followed by Shane Lowry, Cam Smith, and Matt Fitzpatrick. I think that's a really good group, and they go out a couple of groups later at 2:59. But there's a few eye-catching groups there for me, bro.
Yeah, you're right. I love Mickelson and DJ together. Hughes Loughton's going to have a lot of fun, right? As you can see at 2:04. Matty Jordan with Paddy Harrington. I think that's going to be a great. Tiger Woods, Xander, and Cantlay is fantastic. I mean, it's probably going to help Tiger Woods having to walk so slowly with Patrick Cantlay. So he'll have a lot of time.
Schauffele.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Spieth, Scheffler, and Cameron Young. That's going to be a dynamic three ball. But I just want to come all the way down to 4:16 on Thursday, and there it is: Daniel Brown, Denwit Borobunsub, and Matty Dodd Berry. There he is, 4:16 p.m. Thursday. Have the time of your life, Matty. Game 52. Penultimate game of day one. He's gonna. I can't wait. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I mean there are some great groups like you said, and yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So why don't we get into? We're going to give a P&L next week, I think, bro. Is that all right? We'll give it next week after our success or your success.
Yeah, absolutely.
With Bobby Mack and Adam Scott. There were a lot of points accumulated last week, and that has skyrocketed ours in a profit and loss. So let's get into the picks then. You go first. I've got 5, I think, maybe, but you go first.
Similar, yeah, for me. Right, okay. I gave you a little brief intro earlier on into one of my picks, and it's Xander Schauffele. I think Xander this week, he's definitely firing in a lot of the right cylinders in terms of his game. His strokes gained, approached around the green is pretty solid. That a lot of other areas are solid, and I've actually taken a bit of a deeper look in terms of where he is featuring and ranking highly. Certainly on the PGA Tour stats this year, he's ranked number 1 going for the green, 80%. He's ranked number 1 scrambling. He's ranked number 1 scrambling from 30 yards. Ranked number 1 3-point avoidance. Ranked number 1 early scoring average. He is ticking all of those boxes. Where does he fall down, though, a little bit? Xander has a tendency to suffer in the rough, and that's a little bit of a concern from me. He's well down the stats rankings in terms of rough proximity, and certainly in rough approaches from greater than 100 yards and 175 to 200. So for me, that's a little bit of concern. But I do think he is, he's certainly ticking a lot of the boxes, in terms of having a game. And, Xander definitely, he's up there for me in terms of my picks. I think he's somewhere between 11 to 14 to 1. So, definitely got a great game as Xander Schauffele. And he's my first pick.
Okay. All right. My first pick is going to be Bryson DeChambeau. I alluded to it earlier. I mean, what else do I have to say about him? He's golf right now. He really is. That's plain and simple. He's golf. He's matured. He's loved by all sides of the golfing world. He's bringing golf together. He's growing the game and all those analogies. But we know he loves a challenge, right? We've seen that in the US Open. He enjoys the PGA Championship. He's finally figured out Augusta this year with a top 10. But apart from St. Andrews, which suited his driver game, misses left are okay. And if he tends to miss, he tends to miss left. And Opens hasn't seemed to be his thing, but he did play well in the Walker Cup at Lytham St. Anne's, and he admits his putting is so much better than it was at previous Opens. 2 top 10s at Valderrama, strategic course. We know that he can plot his way around. And his 65 in the final round at Royal St. George's was eye-catching for me. And I think his grouping with Oberg and Kim is perfect for him. Excuse the poet, and I didn't know it. I just think he's a different golfer, and I think he knows that he can't overpower this course. He can put a 3-wood 300 in the middle of the fairway. And if his putting is on song, like it was at Pinehurst, I think it'll take a good one to stop him. And he's 16 to 1. So first pick.
Excellent. Okay. Right. My second pick this week is Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry in the early part of this season, I thought was really starting to bring the aspects of his game together that, he could feature a lot in a lot of upcoming tournaments. His strong approach around the green. He's not ticking a lot of the stat boxes for me, but I've been waiting for Shane to come out. I think he made a great decision not to play at the Scottish Open last week. I think he's only played one other DP World Tour event this year, and that was the Singapore Classic, when he was ranking really high in terms of the stats, I think, around accuracy. But, he is in top 5 on quite a few, and he is a very, very good rough player. Someone who can get out of the rough. He's ranked number 4 in right rough tendency, and ranked number 5 in left rough tendency. And that's on the PGA Tour stats, by the way. So, and he's also par 4 birdie or better leaders at 20%. He's ranked number 2 in that. So there are a lot of, Shane's game. He is also a previous Open winner, obviously, when we saw him win in 2019 at Royal Portrush. And there's something telling me that Shane Lowry has been trying to fine-tune his game for this Open at Royal Troon this year. And you can get somewhere around about 40 to 1 for Shane Lowry this week. And I think that's a different price. So he's my second play.
Fair enough. He's not for me, but yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. I can understand why you've done it. Probably want him a little bit bigger, if I'm honest. But yeah, we'll see.
He's Lowry, a big guy.
There won't be many more popular winners if Lowry was to lift the claret jug again. Right, Victor Hovland's my next pick. Like I said before, when we talk about him in the top 15 players, I just think with his Open record, as impressive as it is, his first start tied 12th at Royal St. George's, I just feel he's just in a much better place. And we discussed the reasons why he might have been out of sync, as well as, the new coach. And I just think he's back. And we know he's got the touch. We saw it at the Ryder Cup. We saw it last season. It is such a successful season, one of the best seasons a pro could have, if you like. And for me, his price, without going into the stats too much, 25 to 1, I think is probably about right for Victor. I think he'll have a great. He looks so happy at the Open when you see him on the telly. He can handle playing in wet conditions and windy conditions. He's got all the shots in his bag. 25 to 1, second pick.
Okay, excellent. My third pick this week is a guy that's really in a hot, rich vein of form at the moment. Aaron Rye is, I mean, where this game has come from with Aaron Rye is beyond me. But when you've got a guy that's playing so well at the moment and featuring on a lot of the leaderboards, it's hard to ignore. If you look at Aaron Rye's stats this year, and let's look at a couple in particular. He is number one driving accuracy on the PGA Tour. Quite astounding at just under 73%. I know the courses are very different. Okay, so if anybody wants to throw that back, but last week in Scotland he was ranked number 2 in driving accuracy as well. So he's clearly got his driving game in the right place. He was tied 19th at Royal St George's in 2021. He's having a glorious season, and as I say, a run of form at the moment. If you look a little bit deeper at the stats, I've already called out a couple, but he's also ranked number 3 in greens and regulation on the PGA Tour. He's ranked number 3 in bogey avoidance. So it tells you really where Aaron Rye's game is at the moment. And why can't someone like Aaron Rye? We've seen Todd Hamilton many, many years ago, came absolutely out of the blue and, wasn't expected. Why can't Aaron Rye have a chance this week? So for me, he's my third pick. 66 to 1, I think, is a really decent price for someone who's playing fantastic golf at the moment.
Well, if he wins, I'll eat 2 gloves. Let's just say that. Brooks Koepka, my third pick. I mean, he's been super impressive. We know he's a major man, right? But he just looks so happy. Baby was on the range with him. He just looks chilled out in an England shirt, having a bit of banter with the lads in Valderrama. He just looks in a good place, right? And we know a happy Brooks is a focused Brooks, is a major winning Brooks. And he wants to win this Open Championship as much as the next person, right? He won't want Bryson to get another major as well. Everyone says that feud's over, but he's still so competitive. He knows he can win more majors. He has said it time and time again. And you don't say that unless your game is good enough. Yes, he hasn't really shone as much as you'd like on Live this season, but he has won, I believe, on Live, one tournament. And I think his price is ridiculous. I think 40 to 1 for a multiple major winner who can really grind out a score on a tough course. It's just too big, and I ain't letting it slip. Brooks, 40 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brooks Koepka is a big price. He's not been doing fantastically great, of late. But again, tied 6th at Royal St George's in 2021, a tied 4th at Royal Portrush in 2019, and a tied 6th at Royal Birkdale 2017 shows you that he has got a game to play at an open setup. So why not? I think, yeah, Brooks Koepka, alongside Bryson DeChambeau, I think, you've got a good couple of picks in there. Yeah, like that play.
Right,
okay. My fourth one, Adam Scott. So impressed last week with that performance from Adam Scott. Where's he been in the wilderness? He was 44 years of age yesterday, tied 43rd in 2016, 42nd in 2014 at this venue. So both made cuts. Only 5 missed cuts in 23 appearances for Adam Scott on the Open roster. So, he's got some Open form and could have quite easily won some Opens in the past. So really liked that last week, an awful lot. And that's why he's made my picks this week. And I think you can get around about 55 to 1 on Adam Scott this week. So he's my fourth.
Well, he is also my pick as well, Adam Scott. No, I just find with how the hell he has not won more majors, with that golf swing, with that temperament, he should have won so many more. Yes, he's come close. He's only missed 2 cuts at the Open in 20 years, right? He is a superstar. He's got all the shots. He's got the vision. And like you said, the way he played last week, he was unlucky not to win. But for me, it's his fairway wood game, his long game off the fairways. I think he won't need to bomb it a long way down there. He can reach these greens in 2 with a hybrid, if you like. I mean, his ball striking over the last few weeks has been amazing. And yes, he's been lucky getting exemptions into those signature events through the Players Committee. But, last week showed that he is in a great spot. And like I said, how the hell he hasn't won more majors is beyond me and beyond many other people's imaginations. So, yeah, 55 to 1, Adam Scott.
Okay, excellent. Excellent play. Right, my final play this week, I've gone for a little shot in the dark at a slightly bigger price, and it's young Irishman Tom McKibbin. I think, if we talk about, debutante winners, if we talk about something that's just going to come totally left of centre, Tom McKibbin probably strikes a lot of those boxes that you might look at. He's 150 to 1. He's ranked 10th in driving accuracy over 54 rounds this year on the DP World Tour at just under 65% accuracy. And, we've played him a few times ourselves over the last few weeks from a betting perspective. And 150 to 1, even at each way value, 10 places, that's pretty good. So, yeah, I've gone with a little, a long shot to add to my other 4 plays. I could have gone with many others and made cases for them. But, yeah, that's my stable this week, and I like that a lot.
All right. Completing my stable this week is Cam Smith. I know he hasn't been playing great, right? I understand that. His game's been off. But his 6 at Valderrama last week showed that he was striking it well. You had to around that course, obviously, but that, goes without saying. And I just think we know he's got all the shots. We saw that at St. Andrews. Yes, I know they're completely different courses, but he's got all the shots. He's got that imagination. And, he said he grew up on, linksy style, windy courses over in Australia. And he plays there, and that'll stand him in good stead. And when you were watching him in his practice rounds on the telly, he was hitting some lovely approaches. And he just seems like he just chilled out. I mean, Cam Smith is what Cam Smith is. He's just a chilled out dude, likes playing golf, likes fishing. That's it. And for me, yeah, I know. Do you know what? I know I could have all the stats and stuff like that, but he's won an Open. He's got the shots and he's showing a bit of form. For me, that's enough. And at 45 to 1 for an Open winner recently, it's a big price, 45 to 1. That rounds up my stable for the Open at Royal Troon. It's getting
Excellent.
so close.
No, it really is. I want to go back to Phil Mickelson as well. It's like, why can't there be a fairy tale story? We had it quite a few years ago with Tom Watson, nearly won, at the ripe old age of whatever he was, in early 60s or whatever. I mean, Phil Mickelson, 54 years of age, 29 appearances, won at Muirfield in 2013, second at Royal Troon here in 2016, and third in 2004. As I've already said, Phil Mickelson, yeah, he's going to be a huge price as well. Huge price. Yeah. So
I hope hopefully he has a good week. Hopefully he has a good week. And be nothing better for the crowds that Tiger has a good week as well, right? So fingers crossed he gets rounds, all 4 rounds, and he has a good week. Who knows? Knowing Tiger, probably, well, I don't know him. I'm not like other podcasters who know him. Dan Rappaport, he's been salivating all week since he saw Tiger Woods. But we'll see. I just hope it's a great tournament. I hope the crowds get what they deserve. It's a cracking field. And it's a great golf course. Simple as that. But I think that rounds it up, unless you've got anything else to say, bro.
Well, the only thing I want to say is what Marvin Gaye said. Let's get it on.
Oh, let's get it on. What we won't be getting on is the DP World Tour for a while, because I don't think it's back until the 15th of August due to the Olympics, and they're having a bit of
going to be
siesta.
So sad.
Oh, no, but the Olympics is on. Hugh Loughton, I think that's been taken back, his position in the Olympics. Anyway, that seems a bit of a strange situation. But we are on the PGA Tour next week. We'll have a lot to break down from the Open Championship this week. There is a tournament going on over in the States as well, if you want to have a look at that. But let's concentrate on the Open at Royal Troon. Next week, PGA Tour will be at the 3M. We'll be over in Minnesota, I believe. Is that correct? Minnesota? I think it's about right. But we'll have a look at that, and then we'll go back and digress, and we'll pick the bones out of Royal Troon on what happened. Who lifted that claret jug? We'll find out next week. Enjoy the golf. Enjoy the Open. What an amazing tournament. It's the Open, not the British Open. So all those Yanks out there, stop it. And you have a great week. Enjoy the golf.
Have a great week, everyone.
See ya.